I'm Ann Marie McQueen, journalist and proud 50-ish woman, and we are here looking for the true truth in perimenopause, menopause, midlife, and beyond.
Opening our minds to other possibilities is not always easy.
Hotflash Inc.
You're all woman to me. All right, Ann Marie.
I'm Ann Marie McQueen, host of the Hotflash Inc. podcast, and my guest today is Carin Luna-Ostaseski. She is an entrepreneur and has a very interesting journey to the menopause space. She runs a perimenopause platform called Hot or Just Me, and she talks all about how she chooses products, what her own personal perimenopause experience was like. We get into how to drink in perimenopause, how to optimize your sleep. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. I sure did.
Has your doctor told you that you're too young for perimenopause? You just don't feel like yourself? You are not alone. Perimenopause can start earlier than you think. That's why Menolabs is here, to support you with a range of products and the information you need to confidently speak up and get the care you deserve. They also offer science-backed products like their bestseller, MenoFit, a probiotic designed to help relieve symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats and more, all while supporting your overall health and wellness. Don't settle for less. Visit Menolabs and get the support you need today. Right now, they're offering our Hotflash Inc. listeners 20% off using code HOTFLASH20 at menolabs.com. Now for the small print, this statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You win for most beautiful backdrop of anyone I've interviewed ever in my whole life, I think. So that's pretty significant, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. It is freezing outside despite the sunshine.
You are in Napa Valley in California. Just tell me a little bit, because you have a really interesting background as an entrepreneur in tech, and then you started a whiskey company and now you're doing menopause. So just walk me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm calling this my act 3 in life. So first act was I was a creative director, graphic designer for big media companies and then small tech companies here in California. And I found myself just disenchanted because I was staring at a computer screen all day, designing things with the specific intention of keeping people on their devices longer. And I started to take a step back in my 30s and realize this is not what I want my life to be about. This is not the legacy I want to leave. And I was also going through a divorce at the time. So it just shook me up to my core and made me just rethink, who am I without this person? And what do I want to do? And what do I want to spend my time on? And at that time, I was spending a lot of time drinking whiskey. So
yeah,
I was finding joy in moments with people in connection in real life, sharing a glass and really going deep with someone. And so I realized that's what I wanted to shift into. But I'd never started a business. I didn't know anybody in the industry and just felt my way around in the dark until I finally figured out how to do it after 80 rejections. And then finally that 81st yes was the door that I needed to open, and finally was able to build SIA to success. So was able to grow it across the country and to the point where not only it was a brand that we give back, I was really proud of a grant program that we started for minority entrepreneurs and had donated almost $250,000 to date in grants to help minority entrepreneurs. But we were also acquired by the largest spirits company in the world. And it was great. It was a great outcome, but also this double-edged sword, right? Watching your kid go off to college and you don't have any control over, over what happens. And I found myself a little bit of extra time and a lot of horsepower left in the tanks. I was in my 40s. And I was starting to have hot flashes. It started out as that simple question I asked myself and pretty much everyone around me: is it hot or is it just me? And most of the time it was just me. And I realized that I was deep into perimenopause because I was also experiencing symptoms of brain fog, anxiety, hair loss, and all that other fun stuff that comes with it. So I realized that there wasn't a resource out there for women to find products and services that they need to help guide them through all of these symptoms that are not HRT related solutions. And so I decided to create one. So that's how Hot or Just Me was born.
That's awesome. So for those who don't know, you offer access to products. How do you choose the products? How did you get started on that?
Yeah, a lot of it was things that I had used, and then it became like a bigger community of friends. And what are you guys using? And I call it girlfriend medicine because we all just ask each other for support and advice. Some actually came from a doctor that I trust, and then it grew as I started to talk to other people in the menopause space, referrals. I try to support women-owned brands or women-led brands as much as possible. And also just other recommendations from menopause brain trusts.
That's cool. So are some of these people they're distributing through your platform or it just gives them sort of a way to reach a wider audience?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a wholesale retailer relationship. They sell on their own website and I sell on mine at the same price. So it's not competitive. It just serves as another platform for them to be able to get their products and brand messaging out into the world. I also try to bundle the products as well. So I have some fun bundles like Welcome to the Club that has a couple books, cards, a gift card. There's Keep It Spicy. So it's a collection for women's with low libido or vaginal dryness. We have another one for Stay Calm and Cool that has some cooling devices and wearables as well, just grouping them by symptoms as well.
What are some of your top sellers?
So we have a variety of top sellers. I say the fun ones that I'm wearing one today. This is a cooling bracelet from Hot Girls Pearls. And basically
Pretty.
it's a freezable bracelet. They also have a necklace and it just helps cool you down at your pulse points throughout the day and it lasts for several hours. Become Clothing has a anti-wick moisture tank top that I love and I wear constantly. You're nodding, so
Yeah,
you
I have those. I'm friends with them. Yeah,
yeah.
really.
I've got some Lucame bedding that is also a top seller. So it's Zerotech, it's a cooling sheets. And then they also have pillowcases if you don't want to have the full commit for the sheets. I've seen a lot of uptick in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if we're just trending on some search terms, but for some of the vibrators that we have and personal moisturizers.
That's awesome. Is
Yeah.
there anything you wouldn't take?
I'm sorry.
Are there any products that you wouldn't?
Oh, yeah. The one that I'm hesitant on is these one size fits all supplements. I think that our journeys are so unique and personal, and we have different symptoms at different severities at different times. So to say, oh, just take this one size fits all pill or capsule or whatnot is just something that I tend to stay away from.
Yeah.
I'm looking more into individual supplements. I know that you had Amorphous on a recent podcast. So when it comes down to, okay, these are like the omega-3s or this is magnesium, like that kind of level of supplements, I think I'm a little bit more inclined to support than having these
Yeah.
quick
Yeah, well,
fixes.
there's not enough. Andrea from Morphus, Andrea Donsky, has
Yeah.
explained to me like there's just not enough of the ingredient in those supplements. They're people always say this about supplements, you're just peeing them out. But those you really are. And when you talk to a company like Morphus, when they just put so much research into it and it's such quality. Another good company is Nabi,
Oh, I don't know
EJ
that
and
one.
Marina
Thank you.
from Nabi, and A by B I love
Okay.
those girls. And they've got a really cool perimenopause supplement. So no,
Thank
it's got
you.
a couple
Yeah.
of ingredients, but it's not like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And after
it's
our call, I'd love to just, yeah,
a
get
little
some more
connecting.
feedback. And we could put that in the show notes of other products and services that you recommend.
Yeah. And I wonder what you think, because you see this a lot about the menopause gold rush. And what do you think about it? Like, what do you think when you hear that? Do you think it's a problem? What do you
So I think it's just what's in our zeitgeist right now. I think that we're finally at an era where we're talking about it and we are women that look for solutions, right? We thankfully have built success and we have our money to spend on things that help support us. That could be services, that could be alternative medicines, acupuncture, it could be treatments for hair loss. But I don't know so much that it's a gold rush as much as, hey, we are talking about this for the first time and we're looking actively for solutions.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it because on one hand, I really think women need options. And I find it very infantilizing, this tone that like we're going to be hit
Yeah.
with all these things and we can't
Yeah.
decide. But on the other hand, I in my 40s when I didn't even know I was in perimenopause, I was grabbing at everything and I spent a lot of money, just like they say, the average woman spends a lot of money per year. So I
Yeah.
never know how to feel about it, but I think I always come out on a free market, just give us a chance to choose and we don't
Yeah.
need
Find the
people
tools that we
deciding.
need to support us.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
we've
this
been
could be
around the
anything,
block.
right? I have 3 kids. I can't tell you how much money I spend on their activities, their
Yeah,
schools, supplies, their school friends' birthdays, like all these other things,
yeah.
right? So it's whatever it is that we are in that time of our life, that's where we're putting our dollars to as well.
Well, having been in the media, I call myself a recovering journalist because I still love gathering information and sharing information. But I think about
Yeah.
people who don't really know about a topic and they always pick these angles that are just, is that a helpful? Is that the
Yeah.
information we need? Is
Or
you,
I think I was on one of your podcasts too, where someone will just take that same factoid and blow that up, and that suddenly becomes
oh,
like gold. I think
yeah,
what Andrea was saying was just like 34 symptoms. Where did that come from? And it
that's
was like this one
amazing.
thing. Yeah. And so I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
And the same thing with these research studies on HRT, right? So it's what are the new studies, right? What are the ones that we're currently doing and that women can participate in so that we have new data to support any kind of results that can offset what people previously believed?
Yeah. And also, why do we only hear about the studies that are positive for hormone therapy?
Yeah.
Because that's what ends up happening. There's been a number that have been not. Today, I just collaborated with a creator in the UK who shared in depth about a KEEP study about hormone therapy and cognition. And it was a 4-year study, but after 10 years, they didn't find any improvement in cognition. That's not what you hear. You don't hear
Yeah.
that. And then the people who report I'm a journalist, so you got to report it all, but
Yeah.
that's not the case on social media. And I wanted to ask you because I think I read in one of the pieces about you or that you wrote that you don't take HRT and you couldn't.
Yeah, so I've had an interesting journey with hormones, and I'm happy to get personal
Okay.
about it because that's what we're here for. But in my like when I was like 19, 20, I started looking into birth control, and I started taking, I think I tried maybe 4 or 5 different brands through the years. And each of them, I just had such a negative reaction. And most of it was just a psychological reaction. I was just like crying all the time, like just really emotional. And so, to the point where it's like sobbing into pillows, right? Or having like life-ending thoughts. And I thought, this is not worth it. And so it wasn't just like one brand. I had tried several different ones and then realized like, okay, this is not for me. And then it was funny, like plot twist in my late 30s when I finally decided to have kids and it was almost like too late. And so I started IVF and again, right? Like just getting blasted with the most hormones you could possibly take to get all of your eggs produced. And also just that time of in life, I don't know if for your listeners as well, but you just feel the most unsexy that you possibly can. And a science experiment cow putting these injections into yourself to try to have a baby. And then yeah, just again, like these feelings crept up again. And then it's also at a time I was like the second time around for IVF, also having the postpartum depression. So it was a lot. And so I just thought, okay, maybe as I'm like now approaching my 50s and thinking about HRT, I started having the conversations again with my doctors and we just went through my symptoms. And what I'm realizing is that my symptoms aren't so bad that I'm a candidate yet for HRT. And I'm willing to try them when it's time, but right now it's not affecting my life or my lifestyle so much that I can't fix it or I can't overcome it with some of these products that I have found just overcome the hot flashes and the night sweats and insomnia and optimizing for sleep. But yeah, completely open to it and also realizing that the doses that I would take are probably so small to be able to work.
But I understand that. I'm sure there's people who would want you to take it. Like the more of your high profile that comes, like no matter what you say, people just come back. I find anyway, because I too have that sensitivity. I used the NuvaRing for a very short period of time and it
Yeah.
was a disaster. My whole body was on fire. It was
Yeah.
like really bad. And I had
Yeah.
bought 12 of them back here. And I spent a lot, that was a lot of money for me then. And I was like, I can't have this in my body. And that's supposed to be local. And so when you've had that experience, like you don't want to, I was trying to explain this to my friend because she was saying, I think you need to do more. I think you need to try estrogen because of your platform. And I was just like, yeah, but it's me. I'm the one who's got to deal with it in my mind. And I'm the one who's got to go through this and lose maybe 2, 3 weeks of my life if it doesn't work out. And I don't mean lose, but you know what I mean? When
I know
things
exactly what
don't
you
go
mean.
well,
Yeah.
I'm scared. And why? I don't know. There's a lot of pressure though. There's a lot of, and
Yeah.
even when you just said it's not bad enough, I know there's people who would say, but Carin, it doesn't have to be bad. You should go on home. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's definitely, I'm sure there's going to be a moment when, okay, I'm really ready to take that leap and try, but I'm just not quite there yet. And we're in this industry, right? So there is like pressure of like, how can you talk about it if you've never done it? Right. And so for me, that's why I'm also not in the HRT conversations because Yeah, it's just not something. There's so many experts when it comes down to it. And so I think that's where I send people to instead.
People prescribe it and they're experts and they're not necessarily on it. And I feel as a journalist, there's a journalists writing about menopause that are basically hormone therapy enthusiasts. There is no objectivity there. And so I just think we need all kinds of people to talk about this. You can talk
Yeah,
about something, you talk to enough people. You're not going to obviously give advice on it or whatever, but yeah, it's one of
exactly.
the things that's a bit weird. It's a bit of a pendulum has swung quite strongly in another direction. And I always want as many people to have access as they can and to get it when they can and to not have to wait till it's too bad or whatever. But we're all
Yeah.
we're all different. Okay. So for you, what have you found then, if you're not on hormone therapy, what have been the most helpful things?
I think the biggest one that kind of like the one-to-many solution that I found is sleep, to be honest. Sleep is just so important. I remember waking up, the 2 a.m. wake ups where you get the anxiety and the insomnia and the night sweats. And then, the next day you have brain fog, you have concentration issues, memory issues, you're moody and irritable, you are like snippy, and then it keeps trickling. So you're exhausted. So what happens is you end up having more caffeine. And the caffeine gets you more anxious and could lead to these panic attacks or heart palpitations if you have too much. And then the same thing, like you make bad food decisions because you're tired.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it leads to, I don't want to go to the gym because I'm tired and I'm going to have a bad workout. So it all comes back down to just, did I get a good night's sleep? And I'm trying to figure out what can you do to optimize. And it's funny, somebody that was in the liquor industry, I spent 10 years telling people to drink. And now I'm like, walking that back a little bit where I'm like, maybe don't drink so much, or maybe become a day drinker so that you can have a good night's sleep. And so, yeah, you don't have that 2 a.m. wake up where your liver is processing and that kind of triggers the wake up. And same thing for caffeine, right? I loved coffee and I still do, but have, again, tried to just taper that back in my life. And I've got a fun little solution for people that want to quit caffeine, but basically take 3 days of your life. And the first day you don't drink coffee, but you take 2 Advil instead. Because then you're offsetting the headache that you know you're going to have. And then the second day, just 1 Advil. And then the third day, nothing. You're completely fine. And then do something silly, whiten your teeth or something to keep you from drinking coffee for a week or whatnot. And you're pretty much good. But I find, again, cutting out caffeine, turning off your devices, or just listening to an audiobook or a podcast when you go to sleep instead of looking at a screen. Same thing for your room, right? Optimize for like blackout curtains or an eye mask. My husband snores like a bear, so I wear earplugs. And then your sleep situation. So if you want a nightie or a sleep shirt that's very like breathable, I have one that has like a racerback tee, so I get as much skin contact to the cooling sheets as possible. And yeah, just having a cold glass of water by the bed and try to limit water, obviously, before you go to sleep so you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to pee. It's just a lot of like tools to optimize for sleep. I take a magnesium pill at night that helps as well. And then I love this app called Yoga Nidra. It's just a sleep meditation. It's just really calming. And I think at a certain point, you just get used to it. So it becomes almost like you've trained your brain the second you hit play. Okay, I'm ready to go to sleep. So yeah, I think that's the biggest one I can share. It's just, how do you get a good night's sleep?
You mentioned day drinking, and I find that's a fun hack. Like I've had people mention that to me before. Do you have any other hacks for people who love alcohol, know they can't drink as much? Getting
Yeah.
some hours between bed and the drinking, and obviously.
Yeah, I think, I'm a certified pilot and there was this term that they use called 8 hours bottle to throttle. So basically make sure that you're not like that you finish your alcohol consumption. I would say like a solid, let's say 7 or 8 hours before your
Yeah.
bedtime. So it's mimosas, it's lunchtime, it's Bloody Marys, it's maybe a glass of wine or a tequila or just something a little bit more simple, and try to keep away from those cocktails that have a ton of sugar as well. So yeah, I think it's just, if you also want to taper down, there's just a bunch of really nice mocktails out there now, or these canned cocktails that are like low alcohol as another solution. But yeah, I would just say like it's the nighttime drinking that's probably the culprit. And
Wine.
it just pains me to say it, but
Yeah. And wine,
it does make a difference.
wine is,
Yeah.
I can't, my body doesn't like it
I've
anymore.
heard that from a lot of people as they age, the kind of alcohol they drink is different. So I think that's definitely, It's weird because I've seen people that say, okay, I can't drink wine anymore. And then I've heard people say, oh, no, I can't drink hard liquor anymore. So now I do wine. So I think it just depends
Yeah,
on the
we're also
person.
different. We're also different.
Yeah.
So you're in the entrepreneurial space in menopause. What do you think? Where do you think it's at right now? Because we had some companies come in, some companies leave. There's some consolidation. There's some growing and additional funding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm part of a group, it's a menopause business brain trust, and there's about 100 of us. There's practitioners, there's journalists, there are people that have products, there's people that have marketplaces like mine. So it's a thriving group, but I think what's beautiful about women in general is that we like to form community. I had a similar group in the spirits industry. We called it the Women's Cocktail Collective, and we were 35 female brand owners of spirit brands, not like husband-wife teams, just women going at it alone. And we were all about collaboration, not competition. So even when we would do events, we would take out like a wing of a conference and just have like our women's wing and then create cocktails that we could all make together from our different products. And it's just things like that, it's just really beautiful. So it was almost within, I would say, a week or two of starting my business, I found this other menopause collective. And it's really similar. Like, what events can we do together? How can we collaborate? Here's some samples. Here's a speaking opportunity. So I think it's just really beautiful. This is something that women do naturally to create community. But yeah, I've seen a lot of products, to your point. Some of them have been acquired and reacquired. I've said, I guess, bought and sold a couple of times already. So I think that there's a changeover as people in the industry are trying to figure out like what to do with us, right? Yeah, I think it's definitely, to your point, it's all in the making.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I love talking to you. I think what you're doing is great. It's neat to see someone like monetizing in this way. That's so helpful. It's just really neat to see. And also you spread the word like in a beautiful
That's the
way.
biggest thing at the end of the day. I just want women to know that they're not alone, that there are tools and resources. We have a collection of articles on our website as well. We'll be launching a services directory for practitioners. And then I always encourage people to go to menopause.org to look for practitioners in their area that have taken the steps to get extra certification around menopause.
Great tip. Thank you so much, Carin.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Information received through the podcast should not be used in place of a consultation or advice from a healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem, i.e. menopause or anything else, or any healthcare questions, please promptly see your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Ann Marie McQueen and any producers or editors, disclaim any responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of any information contained herein. Opinions of guests on this podcast are their own, and the podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about a guest's qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services.